Hello, welcome to the broadcast. It's Bradley J, and today we have Emily Sweeney, Boston Globe staff reporter, who's done some mighty fine articles over her long career there. She's very young to have had a long career already at the Boston Globe, but it's true, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm working on tons of good stories now. I do every week, and I've been at the Globe for quite a while now.
How long? I'm just fascinated by this.
Oh,
Like
gosh. It's embarrassing. No, not
15,
embarrassing. I'm actually
15
very
years.
proud of my lengthy career. Over 20 years at the Globe.
Over 20 years. Wow.
Just
And
over.
what we're going to take a look at today is the article you did on what the MBTA was supposed to look like. And it was supposed to go a lot further than it did finally end up going. So what is the year we're talking about that they kind of came up with what it was supposed to look like?
Okay, yeah. So back in 1947, there was a commission formed to look at like the future of what is now the T. And what the commission came out with, they put out a map and they proposed extending rapid transit. So that means like, the subway elevated trains, like the orange line going all the way up to Reading, the blue line going all the way to Lynn, the red line going all the way to Lexington, and parts of the orange line going south all the way down to Dedham. So just like really spreading it out. And I tweeted out a map. Like I used like a marker to like show like, look at the orange line could have went this far, And when I tweeted it out, it got like, it kind of went viral. So many people chimed in like, oh my God, like, it's too bad that this didn't come to be.
When I post this, the link to this, I can put a copy of that map as an image. Use that as an image. Maybe that'd be cool.
Oh, yeah, totally.
That's probably better than a screenshot, actually. So it was supposed to go all the way out there, and it didn't for a number of reasons. One of them was, I guess, that there was competition for highway dollars. This is almost the 50s, and everybody loved cars. It was all about cars. There wasn't, gas was cheap, and there weren't too many folks around, and it was, I guess, a hard sell back then to go all the way out there.
Yeah, the federal government was funding a lot of highway projects. You know what I mean? They were building highways, widening them. I mean, that was the focus. And, car ownership really shot up. And, a lot of people started moving out to the suburbs because, you could commute in your car on the highway. It's kind of unfortunate that more of those federal dollars didn't go to like public transportation projects.
So instead, they went to highway projects.
Yeah. So
I understand that the race was actually a factor as well.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm from Dorchester, like I born and raised, and I had the red line literally in my backyard. Like I would shake the silverware in the drawers of my kitchen growing up. The red line was like right there. And I was reading back on, when the red line, there was a proposal to really extend it out. And at the time, Arlington, that a lot of people in the town didn't want, I guess maybe the riffraff from the city, coming out.
Is that what it was? I mean, is that really what it was? Or was it, I don't want my silverware shaking? I can't imagine anyone would not want the public transportation to come to their town. Doesn't it make your property worth more when public transportation comes to your town?
Yeah, you would think, but at the time, when it was seriously proposed and it could have been done, which is such a shame. There was just a huge pushback against it. The town, like I think, held the referendums. They had like political activist groups set up fighting the red line extension, and so it ends at Alewife, as we all know. Yeah.
What's your favorite T stop?
Oh, favorite? Oh, well, it has to be Fields Corner because that's the one I grew up near.
So was it good that the T was right there, or was it a bummer?
Oh, thank God it was there because, that's how I got to like school. That's how I got to like, sports and stuff, like going downtown, going to the South Shore Plaza, like going to, you know what I mean? The red line was everything. It was like my transportation, like forever,
I like Davis Square, not because
That's nice.
the station's so great. It's just I like the fact that T goes to Davis Square.
Yeah.
Who were some of the people you talked to get your facts? What were some of your sources?
Well, I looked back at like the actual report that the commission put out in like 1947, and it was cool reading it because like, they were pushing they were like, fares got to stay really cheap. That's why lots of people use the T. Like, it's like, oh my God, like, it's just too bad. And I talked to a lot of transportation groups and advocates and just kind of like, showed them the map. And, we talked about, why it didn't come to pass. And just what a shame it is, I guess.
By the way, shout out to Joe Pesatoro. Isn't he the MBTA spokesman person?
Yes.
You would know that being a reporter.
Oh yeah, totally. I bug Joe all the time. I'm sure he's very familiar with me.
All right. By the way, Joe, if you're listening, I want to do promotional videos for the T. I'd love to ride the T, and I do make videos, and maybe we could work something out. Also, I want to somehow get on MBTA billboards. Like, I don't know, I could be a poster child for riding the T. I mean, I've ridden the T since 1979. I've seen the whole thing, at least since 1979. I'm a huge fan. I could be I do have some name recognition. I could be, hey, it's Bradley J. Come ride the T. Get rid of that stupid car. Right?
Totally.
And if the fares go up, I would say, hey, yeah, so what, the fares went up? It's still a lot cheaper than gasoline. Something like that.
I like that idea, Bradley. I think
I would do
a
more professional version of that. But it could just be like my picture and a little thing says Bradley J. says ride the T.
Yes.
Now, the commuter line, does the commuter line take up the slack that the T didn't do, or does it go to different places? Of course, there aren't so many trains. You have to, there's a schedule for the commuter line, which is a bummer. But at least is it some coverage to those areas?
Yeah. So the eventually the commuter rail did go out to a lot of those suburbs. You know what I mean? But obviously, it's very different from rapid transit. It's not like you can just like walk down your street and like go down to the commuter rail and grab a train. Like, just like you said, you need that schedule. And like, if you miss your train, you're kind of screwed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because who knows, the next one won't be coming for a while. So yeah, I mean, so it's not like we don't have, any public transport that goes out that way, but it's just too bad that we don't have like trains running like really.
So tell me again where the T would have gone, like really specifically.
Yeah. Here,
and I will post this map along with when I post the link to this. So go ahead.
Yeah, if you're a fan of the T or if you ride the T, you'll look at this map and I don't know, maybe you want to cry, depending on where you live. So basically, the orange line would have went all the way up to Reading and would have had stops in Wakefield and Melrose. And then you'd have the red line going past Alewife into Arlington and Lexington. The blue line would have, went past, the airport and out into Lynn. And there'd be a stop in West Lynn too, a station. The red line, let's see. Then the orange line would go all the way down south past Forest Hills and have stops in Rosendale, Hyde Park, Reedville, and Dedham. Imagine
that. Now, in your article, there's a quote. It says, discriminatory zoning, lending, redlining, and racial preference baked into the GI Bill, suburban opposition to transit expansion, and highways that divide our urban neighborhoods are all part of our transportation legacy that we must work to overcome. And those are some of the ways race played into determining what got built.
Mm-hmm.
So we did get a little bit of an extension, right? We got the green line out to Union Square. Is that as far as it goes now? Is that the terminus now?
I'm not sure.
It's all right. All I care about is Union Square.
I mean, that's great. It's been years in the making. And, it's about time. So, the more public transportation we have, the longer we're going to extend it out, the better.
Right. So maybe people will be more excited about dollars for a transportation system now that gasoline is so expensive. And even if the price of gas comes down, we really should be less beholden to foreign powers for our fossil fuels and it might be nice to continue to expand the public transportation, although it is expensive. It took forever to get the Green Line extension bill, right? And so
Yeah.
much money.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just happy that I can go see some bands. Is it Salios out there? There's some bars out there that I want to go to, and now I don't have to walk all the way from where I live.
Yeah. It's
And I
great.
must say a couple other upbeat things about the MBTA. I love the new Orange Line cars. You ride them all the time, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just so. This is a fun story. I might as well tell it again. I met Emily a long time ago, and then didn't see her for a long time. And then one day when I was going out to WBZ, or actually I was coming home from WBZ early in the morning after my overnight shift, I saw someone that looked like Emily, and I said, that can't be. I dismissed it. And then kind of got within your range, and you looked up, and you said,
like,
Bradley? I said, oh my God, what are you doing here at 5:22 or whatever it is, at whatever stop that is? What was the stop? I can't remember.
Right in Medford on the Orange Line.
Yeah. Anyway, it was you. And then from that point on, many times we would ride the T at 5:22 in the morning. And I was always surf, because I don't like touching stuff in the T. I don't like hanging on there. Quite an interesting crowd early in the morning. First train in is an interesting crowd. Well, I really appreciate you sharing this information. I'll post the map so you can see it. What do you have coming up as far as articles go? What are you working on now?
Well, you know what? Today I was in court. Actually, there was a cold case, over 50 years old, that the authorities say they solved. The murder of a woman in Bedford. So I was at that guy's arraignment today, and I'll be following up and writing more about that, just because it's a 50-year-old case. And,
can you share what happened to bring this case to the surface again?
Yeah. No, I mean, we're finding out a lot.
What do we know now? Like, why are they bringing it back?
Well, yeah. So basically, a guy's fingerprint was matched to a fingerprint found on a car that was stolen from the victim's house, right? And back up until like the 90s, there wasn't technology to match it. They used new tools in 99 to make a match and start interviewing him. And then through interviews, stuff he said, they also got another person who kind of corroborated.
Wow. And this was when?
This was 1971.
1971, 50 years ago.
Yeah, and the arraignment was today. So
50 years ago.
It's kind of complicated.
It is.
Explain, but it's
so. Let's just say, for an example, if the perpetrator was 20, that would make him or her 71 now. What's the point?
Yeah, he was around 25 when it happened.
All right,
he's 76. But I gotta say, I was in court. I mean, he looked younger than 76. I don't know. He's been in and out of jail too, But
so you are kind of the crime reporter.
I'm one of.
Yeah.
No, we have a lot of people writing about crime at the Globe, so I can't claim it.
But you love that. You love writing about crime.
Yeah, I don't mind it.
And you have a couple of books related to crime.
I do.
Why don't you share those?
Yeah, so one of them is called Boston Organized Crime. It's like a history of organized crime in pictures. And then I have another one called Gangland Boston. And that's kind of a follow-up book that kind of, digs deeper into, the origins of the Italian mafia and some of the Irish gangs during Prohibition, and lots of cool stories and photos. So
that one goes back earlier than most Boston crime books, correct? A lot of them focus on the 70s and 80s, 60s, 70s, 80s. You go back to the 30s.
Oh yeah, even beyond. I mean, there was mafia in Boston, in the late 1890s. So.
I had this idea for you before, and I still think it's a good idea. Those hero squares with this is in memory of Officer so-and-so, T so-and-so, to do a book that is the history of some of the most interesting stories. It could be called Hero Squares. and it could be the story of these police officers. I'm telling you.
I think
Boom.
that's a great idea too, and especially that they're heroes that need to be highlighted. Sometimes people are like, "Why do you write about criminals all the time?" So, that's a really good idea.
Right. And you could expand on the hero part and write about the criminal involved if there was one. All right.
True.
I don't want to take up too much of your time. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. How can people get in touch with you? How can they follow you? Keep up with what you're doing.
Yeah, please do. So you can find me on Facebook, and my email address, if you have story ideas, it's esweeney@globe.com. And I'm on Twitter. My handle is Emily Sweeney, EmilysWeeney.
And
So,
EY.
yes.
Oh, yeah. One more thing. You've been
Yeah.
working on this book about the guy. I can't remember
Dropkick
his name.
Murphy?
Yeah, Dropkick Murphy. Right.
Yeah.
How's that coming?
It's good right now. My agent we're trying to find a really good publisher for it. It's a fascinating story. I don't know if your viewers know that like the Dropkick Murphys, the band, are named after a real guy who was a professional wrestler during the Great Depression. And Dr. Murphy, Dropkick Murphy, opened a kind of like a alcoholic like detox center / athletic training facility in Acton, Massachusetts. And a lot of famous people went there and trained, or they dried out from alcohol. And it's just a really fascinating story about like alcohol treatment and, Dropkick Murphy. And yeah,
I have to ask, why did he call him Dropkick Murphy?
because he could do a drop kick like amazingly, like in the wrestling ring. I mean, he would be up with like 2 feet, like boom, like flying through the air over and over and over again. He was very good at the drop kick.
And back then, wrestling was different, right? It was less choreographed, should we say, or was it the same?
It's hard to say. I mean, there a lot of it was choreographed. You know what I mean? And but it was still super dangerous, and the athleticism of like even having to do like that many drop kicks. You know what I mean? There were a lot of injuries, even deaths. I mean, it was a dangerous sport. And it still is. But yeah, it's really cool. So old school.
I'm glad to see you doing so very well and still at the Globe. That's so cool. And thank you very much for your time. Emily Sweeney, Boston Globe staff reporter. We'll talk to you soon.
All right.
Bye.
Thanks,
We'll be out in 3 seconds, 2 and 1. Not